What's the story behind the time you were that customer who freaked out at a retail or food service worker? I was in Montreal for a hockey game and wanted to buy a Canadiens jersey. They're a little pricey at the arena, so I was walking around downtown Montreal looking at all of the sports memorabilia shops. I found one, walked in and bought a Canadiens jersey. It was one of the nice Reebok lace-up ones, for almost half retail price. I put it on to wear out of the shop as I was walking around Montreal in just a t-shirt and it was quite cold. Ripped the tags off, and as we were leaving, my dad noticed that the NHL insignia was backwards and said LNH. This place was packed because it was hockey day, and I got in the clerk's face and said, rather loudly, "You sell fakes. This is a bootleg. Chinese crap. This is supposed to say NHL." The clerk's English wasn't great French speaking, but he assured me these are the new ones. LNH is the new logo. I replied, yeah, okay. NHL changed their name. I believe that. He wouldn't do a refund, and finally I left the store feeling defeated. On the walk back to the hotel, I saw another Montreal jersey with the LNH insignia, and another. I pulled my phone out and googled it. La Ligue Nationale de Hockey. The new Canadiens jerseys had LNH on them to celebrate their French-Canadian heritage. It was in Munich, Germany about 15 years ago. I was on a train and a conductor comes around to check for tickets. I give him my ticket, and immediately he starts explaining something about how I hadn't paid and he was gonna write me a fine. I was like, what the frick? You literally have the ticket that I bought in your hand. Are you crazy? He keeps explaining I didn't pay and so he needs to give me a fine. I keep getting more and more irate at this obvious idiot. How could he possibly say that? I point to him that the value I paid for the ticket is on the fricking thing, and start insinuating is he doing this to all tourists? To scam them? Fricking butthole. By this time we've reached the next station and he gestures to me while getting off the train with my ticket and sticks it in a machine on the platform that goes catching. And he gives it back to me. Now, you've paid. Oh. Buying a used car from a dealer. We agreed on a price over the phone. He offered to have someone come pick me up to test drive it. I was new in the city and had no car. I said sure, let's do it. I'm prepared to buy the car with cash today, but not for 1 cent more than the price we agreed upon. So don't waste our time bringing me out there unless we're clear here. This is the final price, all fees included. The dealership was a 30-40 minute drive away, so I didn't want to waste my time if it wasn't real. So he and another guy come pick me up, and of course he's trying to sell me a new car instead of the one I'm interested in, but I'm not hearing it. I test drive the car. It's just what I'm looking for, and the price we agreed on is under KBB value, so I'm good with everything. Then he draws up the paperwork and the final cost is nearly $2 grand more than we agreed on. I'm pretty upset now. We had a clear agreement, and he tries to slip in $2,000 like I wouldn't care. I say no deal. Drop me back off at home. He keeps knocking off 100 here, 100 there. Frick that. We had a deal. Take me back home. Finally he says, well, if you're not gonna buy the car for $1,500 more than what I told you, then you can find your own way home. So now I start raising my voice so the other customers hear our conversation. You mean to tell Emmy you dragged Emmy 40 minutes away from home? Try to charge Emmy an extra $2 grand, then tell Emmy I'm stranded out here if I don't pay? He's begging me to be quiet. Tries cutting more off the price, but I'm not letting this go. People are staring. The dealer is sweating bullets. His manager comes in and starts getting more of it from me. They start apologizing, but I'm not letting them off here. I don't respond well to crappy high pressure sales tactics and they're starting to realize it. Anyway, after making a big scene and giving the auto dealer that tried to pull this on me a legitimate panic attack, the manager finally agreed to sell me the car at the agreed upon price, which I then negotiated another $500 off of. He really wanted me out of that shop. Car is still running great. That is bulls. I don't know if I would have purchased anything from them once they pulled that crap. I spent my last $40 on a car part I needed. It had obviously been returned before and was assembled incorrectly by the first purchaser. First he said I couldn't return it because it had brake fluid on it. Okay, fair enough. He can't resell it, but whatever. I had my friend drive me home and I cleaned it up and had my friend drive me back again the next morning. Now he's saying he can't take it back without a receipt. Well, I paid with a credit card and there's a warranty, so I should be in the system. He wouldn't even check and refused to exchange it. I freaking lost it. I was irate, screaming at him. Customers were laughing at how upset I was. He threatened to call the police. I told him to go ahead, but then something amazing happened. Behind this guy's back, another employee overheard my details, looked up my information and printed out a copy of my receipt. Just as this guy is about to tell me for the millionth time that I can't return the part without a receipt, the employee behind him hands it to me, and I handed it back to the manager I was arguing with. Got my new part and was able to make it to work that night. Hope that guy didn't get fired for doing the right thing. Frick you, Krager Checker O'Reilly store manager. Sat down at a restaurant at the world's most inconvenient table, square with 4 chairs. One was pushed up about a foot from the bar and the bar patrons. They were practically sitting on the table. I sit across from my partner. Shortly a waitress comes and asks me to move adjacent to my partner, as my chair is impeding the ability for others to go to the bar. So I move. Then we wait a long time to be served. Get our food and I take my first mouthful when an employee comes over and says that I need to move seats because my chair is blocking the path they use to deliver food. This happened once more before I finished my food. I lost my crap. I just wanted to eat. I had gone 2 days without my medication because my doctor did not renew my prescription due to him suddenly leaving the practice. I have epilepsy. I was feeling sick, hazy and not aware of my surroundings, but I managed to walk over to the pharmacy to get a refill once I finally got the new doctor to fill out a script. I told the lady that my script was sent to a different pharmacy, but I had to come to this one because I couldn't drive over to the one I was going to, and I wanted to go to this one anyways. She said okay. I confirmed with her literally 4 or 5 times that she would call and transfer over my script. It isn't my first rodeo, and she said she would. An hour later I come to pick up my medicine. She puts it in the bag and staples it. I pay and leave. I get home and it is the wrong medication. I had gone there for a brief period of time and I guess for some reason they had it on file that I was to take the same medication but in a much lower dose. The 1-month bottle she gave me would last about a week. I had to go walk 20 minutes back to the pharmacy again. She claimed I had never mentioned there was another pharmacy and it would be a few hours until she could fill it. I already waited over an hour plus walked for a total of 60 minutes. There, back, there. I told her and she didn't believe me, so I got angry and raised my voice and said that I would really need this medication a lot sooner than a few hours for now. That I asked for it over an hour ago and I was given the wrong medication and this was not acceptable. She threatened to not fill my medication and ban me from the pharmacy. Maybe I was making a bigger scene than I thought I was. I said alright, I am sorry. I have gone 3 days without my medication. I cannot drive to my other pharmacy. I really need to take this medication in the proper dose, not 12 of these little pills for one dosage. I am extremely hazy and I feel sick. Please just fill my script. She had me just sit down and wait and called then and there. At least it got done in about 45 minutes instead of a few hours. I felt like an butt, especially since I never yell at anyone. I think that's reasonable. You needed medication. You were given the wrong medication and then the pharmacist threatened to ban you because you were asking her to fix her mistake. That's just bad customer service on her part. Waiting in Gatwick for our flight, which was at 0650. Gates closed 30 minutes before departure. Watching the boards like a hawk, but the go-to gate only appears at 0610. Cutting it a little fine for them, but whatever. We start casually making our way towards the gate. It's a bit of a walk, but as we pass another board on the way at 0615, gate closing appears. So we start running to the gate. Get there a few minutes later, as a passenger walks through the gate. Hand over boarding passes and passports and the saggy-faced old witch, who was dead behind the eyes and had nothing between the ears, says sorry, the gate is closed. It was 0617. Not a chance they should have closed the gate. But clearly they'd thought the last passenger had boarded and decided to shut up early to make their stats look good. I kicked off. I had seen that they just let a passenger through. I could see them still boarding the plane. But no, they'd shut their systems down and couldn't do anything. This was utter bollocks. I called them out on it, but eventually got marched back through the airport to get another flight. As we're checking in for a flight that leaves at 0900, we're told we have to pay another £100 each. This was twice as much as we'd paid for the original flight. I explained the situation, but the woman at check-in wasn't having it either and just assumed we turned up late and missed the flight. I was adamant on my timings, so repeated myself, getting more and more irate until eventually the manager of not just the airline, but the whole of Gatwick, came out. I repeated my timings and told them that I thought the airline was trying to bump up their stats by shutting the gate early. He went away and checked, came back, and my timings were spot on. He agreed with me. Alas, we were on the next flight, upgraded, for free. If you are from the UK, it wouldn't surprise you to know that it was an EasyJet flight. Assholes. Used to work at Gatwick. That place can attract the best and worst in everybody, probably the case with all airports. EasyJet are the worst, but the people they attract to their flights are horrible. Not saying you are. I used to work at the only fast food place there, and I can guarantee you that the ones that were a pain in the ass were the EasyJet passengers. Right after I got my first salary, I went to a big electronics store and bought a steering wheel controller. They had only one left of the one I wanted, the Exhibit 1. Salesman promised it may be okay if I just cleaned it properly. He even gave me 10% off, yet price still was €198. At home I noticed it was broken. When I drove back to the store, scumbag salesman told me would arrange the repair and it would be fixed in about 4 weeks. That was when I went from slightly pissed to purified anger. I told him I wanted to back off from the purchase. Then he told me that the company terms blah blah blah. I didn't remember exactly what he said because I yelled all over the place, "May I please talk to someone who is not about to frick me from behind on the counter." This must have been the magic word, since the manager and a bunch of customers came over to see what was going on, and I did get my money back. I still remember what my teacher always said: sometimes you just have to talk to people. Or maybe yell all over the place. I had ordered some food at around 2 AM. My roommate had to work the next day and was sleeping, so I made a note on the delivery saying, "Please call, do not ring bell." Thanks, our doorbell was a really loud buzzer, so I didn't want to wake him. About an hour later, I hear a loud bzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. I was so annoyed because I had clearly asked that they not do that. I go to the door and it's this guy, probably around 20 years, and immediately after he hands me my food, he sticks his hand out and goes, "Tip." I had money in my pocket that I was going to tip him with, but I didn't even get a chance to get it out before he did that. I responded with, "Seriously?" Then I went to tell him that he was not going to get a tip, not only because he rang the bell when I clearly asked him not to, it was printed on the receipt under my address so he should have seen it, but also because of how rudely he demanded a tip. I told him about how I was a delivery driver when I was in college and I would never try to force someone to tip me. He said, "Whatever," and left. So I called the restaurant and told them they had a really crappy driver. This happened at my bank. Went in to change my rent money from 20s to 100s so making a money order would be easier to count. I tell the lady behind the desk what I'm doing, and she happily agrees to help me. In 20s, I count out about $1,000 to her, putting the money down and counting out loud. She then takes the cash, gets the hundreds, and counts back $900 to me. I tell her there's $100 missing, and she claims I only counted $900 to her. She already put the 20s I gave her in her drawer, so there was no way to see what I counted to her. I argued with her for about 10 minutes until she told me they were about to close and to come back tomorrow to speak to a manager. I was so shocked. This lady was so stupid that I just told her to quit her job while she's ahead and walked out. Thankfully I had an extra $100 in birthday money, but frick that lady. Never went back to that exact location. They can also count their drawers to see if anything is off, which wouldn't be a big deal as they were about to close. I used to be a teller and being $100 isn't a small deal. Lady at the drive-thru couldn't hear me, so I talked louder. Still couldn't hear me, so I spoke even louder. Still couldn't hear me, so I moved round to the window and she had the headset around her neck. So I said, quite loudly, "Can you hear me now?" She jumped about 3 feet and looked surprised to see me. I'm imagining he was the Sprint dude. So my husband is a drummer and he had just played a gig. Had a full load of drums in his station wagon and couldn't see well out the back. Important later. He pulls into Macca's for a late night snack. Orders McNuggets. He's told there's a waitant to park in the waiting bay. He had to reverse. He reversed once and hit a bollard. Drove forward and reversed and again hit the bollard. He was super embarrassed, so he just drove straight out into the car park and for some reason, reversed into a park, completely taking out a rubbish bin. By this time the whole store is looking outside because it looks like he's tearing the place up for being made to wait for nuggets. Next thing the poor drive-through kid came running outside with bag of food, apologizing and terrified. Threw the bag in the window and ran back inside. I still giggle when I think about this. I'm sitting at my desk at my very professional place of employment crying because I'm trying not to laugh. My co-worker asked if I'm okay. I'm not. That's freaking hilarious. My dad can be that customer. A lot. The story that sticks out is when we went to Disney World. It was around 9 PM. Me and my sister should be getting to bed by then. Not to mention we were tired from traveling. My dad goes to check us in and we sit in some chairs, waiting. And then we hear my dad getting mad. He wasn't yelling, but we could hear him across the room, giving the checkout lady heck for not having our reservations. Turns out my dad had been scammed by a website that took our money for the hotel and was not affiliated with them. This was in the earlier days of the internet, so scams were easier to fall for. So my dad, swearing away, pays for our hotel again. No, there's no justice here. The hotel didn't deserve the crap they got, and my dad got scammed. Damned if he didn't pay again anyway to make sure his daughters still got to have fun at Disney. I love him, even if he has a temper. Anyone who's got a bus in the UK or most other places really will know that when you ring the bell, not only does it make an audible ding, but a light at the front of the bus next to the driver that says bus stopping will illuminate. Rang the bell, got up and stood right next to the driver by the door so he can clearly also see I'm waiting to get off. Driver just continues past the bus stop. I'm like, you not stopping for me there. He rolls his eyes, scowls and slams on the brakes in the middle of the road, to the point where everyone standing up nearly fell over and I think I heard someone fall down the stairs. Looks at me and goes, maybe try ringing the bell next time if you want me to stop then, and opens the door in the middle of the road. I just walked up to the sign that's lit up right in front of him and start sarcastically tapping it like it's on the fritz. Well, I think your light must be freaking broken or you're going blind if you can see that, mate. Heard him mumbling something as I got off. So many bus drivers are such miserable pricks. There was also the time a bus was 30 minutes late and I didn't thank the driver when I got off, but I'll save that gripping tale for another time. There was also the time a bus was 30 minutes late and I didn't thank the driver when I got off, but I'll save that gripping tale for another time. This belongs in our British problems for sure. Moved cities and had to transfer my internet account. Had to pay a ridiculous transfer and reconnection fee, but whatever, I needed internet so I paid it. Next month my bill arrives with the same fees on it. I call and then eventually I'm told the fees will be waived and my next bill will be fine. Next one arrives and I still owe a $150 transfer fee and the plan is now $20 more expensive. I call again and am told the plan I signed up for no longer exists and so I have to be on this more expensive one. I am again told the transfer fee will not be on the next bill. After some arguing they agree to give me a temporary credit to make my bill the price I originally agreed to. The next bill arrives. This one is again the same increased rate and has phone charges on it. I had never even bought a phone to plug into the wall, only a modem. I ring again and file a complaint. When they eventually got back to me regarding my complaint, I lost it. After months of absurd bills, charges and compliant customer service people who always assured me next month it would be fixed, I'd had enough. Entertainingly enough, yelling at them was what finally got them to sort the crap out. I got a permanent $20 credit to bring my plan back to what I agreed to pay and no more phantom charges occurred. I still switched plans as soon as my contract ended though. I was getting my phone number transferred from my father's name to mine. It took about a year of me begging him to do it, until he caved and did it. As a small backstory, he is a very abusive, narcissistic bastard and I was trying to get away from him at the time. After we finished the paperwork, we received a confirmation email stating it would take between 2 to 5 business days. A week passed. Nothing. Another week passed. Still nothing. I contacted their customer support and they assured me that they were working on it. A third week passed by and I called them. After explaining my situation, the girl put me on hold without warning and left for about 10 minutes. I had enough time to cook lunch. When she came back, she told me I never ordered the transfer. I told her that I had, indeed, ordered it and that I had both my father's and my own confirmation emails and read the important parts out loud for her. She said it wasn't possible and repeated that we never ordered it. I asked her to shut up with the whole "we never ordered it" thing and sent her screenshots per mail. She put me on hold again without warning and I waited again. Finally, she came back again and told me, well, the documents aren't here. I asked her why come they aren't there. She made a sound and simply said I don't know. I was getting kind of upset at this point, so I asked her to please find out, prompting her to put me on hold without warning again. When she came back, she explained they could have been lost but it was most likely our fault they had lost them. This upset me something fierce because we had done everything they asked and from then on, it was their responsibility to complete the transfer. I mentioned this and she agreed. So I asked her if she could, based on the confirmation emails, transfer the number. She told me no and implied that stealing another person's number was illegal and that I had to talk to my father to resubmit the request. I was so mad at this point I might have been crying. I felt pretty lost at that point. Pretty much thanked her for nothing and hung up. I feel bad about it in hindsight, but things like these aren't supposed to happen and her accusing me like that was way over the line. I hated this. I used to be a self-service rep on phones and the amount this happened was stupid. Even if it was past the 15-day open window of authorization, I still put it through as it was the second attempt at this and it really wasn't their fault but ours. I hated having to clean up co-workers' crap but the customers were happy at the end. I went into a little vegan place in Soho, London, for a coffee. My then girlfriend and I were on our way to a movie and had around 45 minutes to spare. I ordered 2 cappuccinos. There was no one else waiting, and there were 2 hipster-looking types behind the counter. They took my order and then spent, and I crap you not, 27 minutes walking back and forth, talking, moving things around, washing stuff, but not making coffee. In the interim a small line had formed, and they served a couple of those people first, including with food orders. I asked after 15 minutes, just to check they hadn't forgotten me. They said of course not, and continued to frick about. In the end I stood up and started yelling at them, asking what the frick they were doing, and why it was so hard to make 2 simple fricking coffees. I demanded my money back, as we didn't have time for the coffee anyway, and had to then have a big argument about this while one of them kept saying but we're making it. Useless fricking buttholes. When I turned round after berating them, the actor Forrest Whitaker was behind me in the line, and I felt bad for losing it in front of Ghost Dog. Could have been your big break. Charlize Theron got her break into showbiz when she was tapped by a talent agent after he witnessed her screaming at a bank teller in LA, who refused to cash her check. I'm not proud of this one, but I was on a 9-day stretch of going in at 7 AM to work and stopped at Starbucks for a coffee and a bagel since that would be my food intake till like 1. When coverage got to my department, so I go in, order and wait. Get coffee, wait more. Gonna be late if I keep waiting. So I mention it to the person I made the order with and they got crappy with me saying I didn't order a bagel. I showed her the receipt she gave me and she just made a harumph sound and started making it. 3 more people got their orders before I got my bagel. I mention it again and the lady practically throws it at me. So in a fit of spite I've never felt since I turned to leave and go, oh and by the way, someone spilled something and tossed my venti cold press on the ground. The whole place goes silent and the lady, who was the manager, apparently just looks at me with pure hate in her eyes. I didn't break my stride leaving. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.